So these are straight. So what we talking about today?
Yeah, today we talk about, getting rid of what no longer serves you, you know. And part of the problem that we have in life is that we be holding on to things for too long and not knowing when to let go of them, not knowing what to hold on to, and I feel like the easiest way to understand, like, what serves you and what doesn't is to, what you say, like what you call it, that self interview, and to really analyze your life, and see, like, how is this benefiting me and how is it not? The person, place, thing, thought, idea, um, whatever it might be that's in your life, how is this benefiting me? And it almost, you really got to become selfish when you're doing this type of thinking. It's important that you have high self-worth, because what you might think is cool, no matter what it is, like, really might just be the bare minimum, because we coming from, like, I'm gonna use a relationship because it's easy to understand. It's not too triggering. Because we coming from, let's say, so many dysfunctional families or something, you might get into a relationship and just have peace. And just because you have that peace, you like, oh man, this is amazing. And you might not know, it's like, I could be getting more out of this. I could be I could be doing more. You could apply that type of thinking to, like, your job, to your business, to whatever else. It's like, we might not be used to having it good at all, and might not be used to having certain things. So just getting that thing, just getting the bare minimum, sometimes we feel like we made it, and we don't realize that, like, we could have better friends. We could be in a better job, you could have a better business, you could have better things around based on what you feel worthy of. And sometimes what you holding on to is the reason why you can't get to where you're supposed to be, and it's protection, when you're looking at things in your favor, because you might have that person in your corner that's going to ruin everything, and you're supposed to get rid of them before you get to where you're supposed to be. Or you might have something that's a part of your routine, somewhere where you're going, someone that you talk, like, whatever it might be, and you haven't identified it yet. And that could be that, it could just be that one thing that's stopping what thought do you constantly have, and where does it stem from? And that doesn't make you feel good. Like, you have this thought, you don't know why it pops up, or something that might be trigger you, whatever, and now you off your game, you're not centered anymore. How does that serve you? It doesn't. So you just want to start to analyze all the things that you have around, and see, like, how is this good, how is it bad? And if you a business owner, like, in a barbershop, for an example, you could just be looking around. It could even be your customers, your clientele. Sometimes that person who's giving you money, their money might not be worth it based on what they bringing you. If that money coming with trouble or something, that might not even be, something that's serving you well. You could be looking at it like, damn, every time I cut him, they come in here loud, they come here acting crazy or whatever. It's like, you don't have to put up with that. You don't have to deal with that. You could be getting that same money from somebody who's coming in and bringing peace. And these just little small examples that we got to be, applying to the rest of life. You got anything to?
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of times, when we're talking about getting rid of things that no longer serve you, I mean, just think about, being a Jamaican, just think about people wearing shoes that have a hole in them.
Mm.
You're wearing a pair of shoes that have a hole, and you're putting cardboard. You're constantly trying to fix and mend those shoes,
Right.
and because you don't realize that it would actually be better if you were just walking bare feet.
Mm.
Just grounding yourself, your feet actually connecting to the ground, being able to pass that energy through your body such that you're able to do the necessary things so that you're grounded and move in the direction that you're trying to go. Because when you're talking about getting rid of things that no longer serve you, man, I'm always guilty of just not doing those things. My wife's always on me about, dude, you got to throw some stuff away. Dude, you know, I was talking this morning, like, since I changed the way that I eat, and I've been on my eat to live, and I'm trying to stick to the deen, and you know, just eating according to how the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to eat. And I see my body just transforming, getting back just the physique and just looking how I'm actually looking and feeling all healthy. Dude, there were clothes in the closet. I had to shift my closet. And so what I did was because I have so much clothing. I threw like all of those pants that were 38 and 40s. I threw them away.
Exactly.
I
So we're
threw them
cleaning.
away. I threw them away. And the reason that I threw them away was I held on to those things in the past because I knew that at some point I was going to get tired of seeing myself in that predicament of being unhealthy, in that predicament of being overweight, in that predicament of just not looking good. And I knew at that point I would actually do something about it. And then I would return, to the essence of what it was that I was doing. And so I went back to that side of my closet. And dude, when I tell you, man, I'm putting on some clothes like the other day, dude, because I got a lot of clothes. Because back in the day, I used to think I was fly. Now,
But
I
see,
was always
growing up, like how
buying
you
something.
started off saying growing up Jamaican, I feel like, oh wait, hold on, we disconnected. You can hear me?
No, I'm here. I can hear you.
Oh yeah, like how you started off, you were saying growing up Jamaican, how it could be like how we just know to hold on to stuff. It's like that's that poor people mindset. And it's
Yes,
like, how you gonna have a poor people mindset and have $1 million business though? You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Because those things are on opposite sides of the pole. Because if you was to watch like a documentary or one of these shows and it's showing you like how people who run their business, like I'm watching this Lakers show right now on HBO, and I'm looking at how these
How you doing
billionaires
today?
and stuff like that, how they act. They mindset, obviously because of their environment and how they raise and stuff, is completely different. But just watching it from being a businessman, they don't have that type of mindset to be like with the penny pinching and with the holding on to and with the because there's so much cycles, there's so much changes, there's so much things that come on. It's like they gotta make moves. It's like I'm watching this Lakers thing and when the dude Jerry Buss picked up the Lakers, they was going bankrupt. And that's hard for me to think about because I'm young. So I just know the Lakers as being the biggest thing in sports,
Right.
being just business wise, being the thing that brings in all the money, So, and his whole mindset, like he's not rattled at all. He's not shaky. He's like, they keep telling him just worse and worse things. He's like, don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry, like we gonna be good. It's like those are thoughts and stuff that serve you well. That's a mindset. It's like, and he's ready and he's willing and ready to drop anybody who's not on the same levels. Like we don't be know how to do that too. We be holding on to aside from the clothes and stuff. We'll hold on to some person that because we know them for 10 years or something, and that could be the bug that's in your ear, whatever it is, or whatever. Yeah,
And see, we have to always, like, when you think of the earth has seasons.
right,
And at every season of the earth is getting rid of something. It has to get rid of something so that something can be anew. Like right now, we're about to go into the spring. And so when we go into the spring, people talk about, oh, I hate the spring because my allergies are acting up, hay fever, and all of those things. But what they don't realize is that during the wintertime, when people say they're sick, what the body is doing, the earth is cooling down to solidify the mucus in the body, so that putting the body in a position so that the body can reject that which makes it sick. And so you're coughing up mucus, your nose is snotty, you're waking up, your eyes are pasty. That's because the earth has positioned itself to start a cleansing process.
right,
So as the earth begins a natural order of cleansing, we too must go through that winter, spring, summer, and fall. So we have to every season, we got to look at where we are during that season and what's taking place and who's hindering the cleansing of what it is that we're trying to achieve such that we can reach that next level. And a lot of time, like you said, we're hanging on to people. We're hanging on to people that we really don't need to hang on to. And we're hanging on to them because sometimes we're unsure of ourselves and we're
mm,
not really aware of what we should or what we shouldn't be doing. And so what we're doing is we're just trying to hold on to everything because like when you would look in my closet, you walk in and be like, oh man, dude got hella clothes. But when I do that, man, I just put all of that stuff in put like 5 garbage bags. Just
right. And
put
it's
the
just
stuff in
it's just
there.
taking up space. It's just taking
Yep,
up energy in your house for no
yep. And I
reason.
just took them and I just put them in that recycle thing so that someone else who may be in that phase in their life and they need larger size clothes. They may need some 38, some 40 pants. They're going to get some good stuff. And I just let it go. And, in letting it go, I had to say to myself, because I have no intentions of going back there, I don't have to worry about, am I going to have to buy or purchase those clothes again? Because I'm not going back there, because in the process of getting rid of, you have to get rid of bad habits. You have to get rid of toxic foods. You have to get rid of toxic lifestyles. You have to get rid of toxic people, because the toxicity of an environment contaminates everything. And so now you have, the ground, where the ground is poisoned. So now the vegetables, you can't eat them. Or the animals, they're full of hormones because they've been poisoned, because they're not reared properly. So we have to think of that for ourselves and say, how is it that I just let go, just get rid of it?
Right, and you give it up with the mindset that you gain something greater. So like if you currently living in a reality that you might view as like, bad things are happening, you analyze, first of all, try to look at things in your favor. So don't ever put these labels on them, like words like bad and horrible and things like that we've been conditioned to. We're always looking at it like the sky is falling and the world is ending. And it's like, every day we got to wake up and keep moving. As long as you woke up, it's like you got to keep it moving. So start to look at things in your favor. And then second, you thinking about giving up to get something. So if you had, if your reality, if your mindset, if the people around you and stuff is bad, whatever it might be, your wardrobe, it could be as mundane as that. It's like you giving that up so you can gain good people. So you could gain a better wardrobe. So you could gain a better mindset. So you stop eating unhealthy. So you start eating healthy. You start to reap the benefits of that. You know what I'm saying? You're not just giving it up and you losing your stuff forever. You giving it up with the mindset of getting something. You know what I'm saying? It's like and this is what he was talking about with nature. It's like you analyze nature, you learn a lot about, how you can live your life. The trees and stuff, they gave up their leaves and everything is shedding and all of that. That was happening in the fall, the winter. And now that new life is about to start coming back. And now is a good time for us to do that too. That's where the whole concept of like spring cleaning comes from. This is a good time to start something. This is a good time to get something going because you're following with the same energy that the earth is on. You're following in the same cycle that's already going to go on, that your body is already doing and stuff like that. So this is the perfect time to,
This
to shed things to gain new stuff.
Right,
What are
but
you
this
saying?
is this is a good time. This is a good time to increase your pricing. We're going into a new season, and what I say to people is just go fill your car up. Go fill your car up and look at what you have to give up in order to put that signal on F. That lever to go on F. You got to give up a lot. I mean, almost $5 a gallon.
Right.
So I say to people all the time, people are complaining. And the thing is, you have to move with the times. They're talking all of these things about what's going on in the world, how things are changing. Things are happening in America. America's about to go into a crisis. And if you're not prepared, when you go into the grocery stores, you see the shelves are bare. So you're going to have to give up some food. But you know what? It's going to serve you well, because a lot of the stuff we're eating, we don't need to eat anyways. You you couldn't get your Popeyes chicken. Okay, did you really need Popeyes chicken?
And that's how you got to start analyzing it, like
Yeah,
for real. Like no matter what you're doing, just make like a checklist of everything you do in the day, everything you eat, and really be honest with yourself. You don't gotta be honest with us. It's like you be honest with yourself. Like, yo, how did this dinner serve me? Did this make my body feel
exactly.
good? This text conversation I had at 5:55. How was I feeling after that? This group chat that I'm still in, that I've been in for 5 years. How do I feel when I'm around these people? And you got to be really honest about that. This might be your friend from third grade, but man, they might be the hindrance in your life. Like, and sometimes we not open to understanding that. You know what I'm saying? It could be your cousin, it could be your sister, it could be your closest relative, it could be a significant other, whatever it might be. It's like you really got to sit there with a checklist and be like, yo, when we're together, how do I feel? How does this make me feel? Everything, the food, the people, the places, your workplace, all of that. and understand that you can have more, like you deserve more. And this is where the self-worth things come in. It's like we gotta move way past like, you know, bare minimum and stuff. Having those mindsets, that scarcity mindset, you know, having that panic mindset. It's like, yeah, you can't thrive that way. You know, it's not gonna work. Like scarcity and being a business owner or just even
Yeah.
living in life, that's not gonna work. Especially the way in the world that we heading into, everything getting more expensive and stuff like that.
Let me tell you, last week I had a lady. She came in, and she had 3 boys. I charged $30 for little kids, and she was like, "Wow." She said, "I'm gonna have to pay you $100 um, to cut all my boys." I said, "No, that's not true." She said, "Why it ain't?" I said, "No, you only have to pay me $90, $30 a kid." She said, "Well, I at least got to tip you." She said, "So I'm gonna just give you 100. Is that fine?" I said, "Yeah, I'm cool with that." And so she paid it, and she said, when I got finished, she looked at the lines, the definition, and the fades were blended. She said, "That's why I come here," because she was telling me about, I guess one of her girlfriend pays $10 for the kid's haircut, and she talks about how the line is pushed back, how it's not even, just all of these issues. And she said she's willing to pay for what she wants because she says every time she sees that they get a haircut and it's a bad haircut, wherever their dad takes them, she doesn't like the haircuts. And so she said she told him not to even take them to the barbershop anymore.
Mm.
And he was saying that the other place is cheaper, that, you could cut, all 3 of them for $60. And, she said, but look what you're getting. Look what you're getting. So right there, she's willing to give up, extra $40 just to be satisfied with what it is that she's getting. And we, as business people, we have to be willing to sacrifice clients because you have to define your value. I say to people all the time, if you're going to place a value on yourself, you have to place that value on yourself and stand on that value. You know, I've been selling classes from anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 a class, and individuals are paying for the class, and people are saying, like I talk to a lot of people, they're saying, "Oh, you got to do, man, if you did 197 or if you did 497." But I said, what I'm giving in value is worth the $5,000 because what I'm going to teach them, they're going to make that money back tenfold. And so you have to make sure that you're feeding from a source that is going to give you value. If the source that you're feeding from is not giving you the nutrients that you need to achieve what it is that you want, then don't feed from it. Since I've been fasting, eating once a day, and then I've been going to eat every other day, dude, one morning I just jumped up, I did 90 push-ups. I was like, what the heck? And my wife, she was saying, look how much weight you lose. You got to eat. You got to eat. I said, no, I don't need that extra weight. That weight is bad. And I said,
Right. That,
you know, we got to balance our bodies. And when you start balancing your life and getting rid of the things that you don't need, because all those bad foods, man, them bad foods were killing me. And I'm going to be honest, I love to eat. But I realized, I said, you know what, this stuff is killing me. I noticed my skin is better, my hair looking a little better. And I'm like, nah, I got to leave that stuff alone.
and that food. That's why I tell people it's like, you know, the diet will get you there. Like when I have a client or something, the diet will get you there or start, but it won't like finish the journey. You know what I'm saying? But what you were saying with the like food source and what serves you and what gives you life and what doesn't is like what the diet does when you
Hold on,
start
man.
to
My wife is calling me. Hold.
become like a conscious eater, or you start to become conscious of what's feeding you in the other areas of your life. So it's like whether it be your partner, whether it be your workplace, whether it be whatever. And when you put the value on yourself through consciously, you know, I can't put this in my body because I know it doesn't serve me. You start to do the same thing in the other areas of your life. You start saying like, man, I gotta find some other way to pay my bills because even if I'm at this job and I got a family or whatever, this makes me feel horrible. And it's like you get that taste of like what feeling good feels like just from the food, because that's one thing you got control over. So you start to say, oh, okay, all right, I can't be around this person. I can't go here. I can't go to that spot because this don't make me feel good. Like the food was making me feel good, and it becomes so much easier because it's like we don't, like I said, we stuck on the bare minimum, so we don't understand that we could be having more than that. That's why I tell everybody to desire that luxurious lifestyle, but understand what luxury really is. It goes past like what a Lexus is. A
And
luxurious
but see, one
lifestyle.
thing,
Yeah, what you're
when
saying?
we talk about luxurious lifestyle and acquiring all these things, I always harken back to Steve Jobs.
Mm,
Steve Jobs, yeah, I got you, Obsidian. You and I gonna talk about that. But Steve Jobs, you look at all of the money Steve Jobs had, but he could not buy health. He
mm,
could not buy
yeah,
health. So just think, and people don't realize the body gets sick from what we put in it. So when we say the body gets sick from what you put in it, so now when you say you're just not thinking right, that's because you're putting the wrong things into your mind. What are you watching? Who are you talking to? Who are you being influenced by? And these individuals have a profound impact on the way we think, the way we move, the way we maneuver. Because a lot of times we're always influenced by somebody. And I tell guys that I worked with a bunch of old barbers, old Jamaican dudes, and my parents' friends from home, and I was like, man, I'm working with them. I hated them guys. But then as no, I mean, because my dad put me in it, he made me work there. I didn't want to work there.
nah, I
But
just know
then,
what that's like, so that's why I'm laughing. Like I
and
just know the mindset of
yeah,
like
but
what you
once
hearing
once I
and
got
yeah.
in there and I started listening to those guys, and then like the old man, like Jack, he was in his 90s. He was old. He was the owner of the shop. His sons were in there. And they were, I don't know, maybe 40s, 30, 35. I think the youngest dude in was 35 and one may have been 42. And I was like, these old dudes, man, nobody want to hear this foolishness. But then they would be joning on Jack in the back, mixing this up, mixing that up. Somebody coming in, he had a garden. He had a garden. He was always growing something, always mixing up this, always mixing up that. Man, I'm a rookie, really a butcher, only the kid barber. But I'm just gleaming from, just gleam behind the reaper. For those who go to church in the Bible, they're always talking about gleam behind the reaper. And we're not talking about the grim reaper. We're talking about somebody that's reaping, somebody that's being successful, somebody that's understanding and articulating what it takes to be successful, and then understanding what success is. Because again, Steve Jobs had all of that money, he had everything in the world. But guess what? Steve Jobs, he's been dead now, what, 10 plus years?
That's what I was about to say about the luxurious lifestyle. It's like people think it's like a Lexus, but it's like I'm not saying you're nothing wrong with having that,
Right.
but if you don't have like let's say the luxury of seeing your kids all the time, or the luxury of even just having peace of mind or being healthy of any of that, it's like how luxurious are you really?
What's
It's like
up,
you'll be
cuz?
you'll be a unhappy, upset, like feeling bad physically, but you'll be in a limo. It's like that's no fun either. So um it's like you should what I mean like luxurious lifestyle, I mean like peace of mind, being happy. The material and that stuff might just come with it. If your finances stuff is good, whatever you are into. I don't speak against people having that, but I'm talking about being happy. I'm talking about when you sitting on the toilet, you're not having no problems and stuff like that. That should be what like is bare minimum and stuff for us. Having a clear mind,
Well, we
being
gotta
able to
we
think
gotta be
about
honest with
yeah,
ourselves.
right,
When you're
exactly. It's like
sitting on the toilet and you're having problems, the reason you're having problems is because you're full of shit. You understand? And a lot of people don't want to face it. And the only way you can become full of shit is to be taking in a lot of shit.
right.
Just constantly taking in the negativity. And my apologies for using that word, but we have to think, how do I differentiate myself from has that which has always resulted in failure?
Mm,
Because you don't have to fail. You can learn from someone else's story. That's why you see a lot of books out there that you can read, self-help books. You got gurus on TV. When you look at You know, they got this whole thing called reality TV. And what they're doing is they're making reality. They're creating people's reality based upon a false narrative of what reality is. So that's why you have to be in control of your mind. You have to be thinking the necessary thoughts that are going to make you successful. You have to be thinking and believing that you can achieve that which they say is unobtainable for you. Because the only thing that's unattainable for you is when you don't believe that you can attain it.
Right.
Because I tell myself, I tell myself I can fly. If a plane was crashing and I had an opportunity to jump out, I think I'd take my best and say, man, I'm gonna have to dive, and when I hit the water, get aerodynamic and arc my body and come back to the top. You understand?
Right.
But I'm going to try.
You'll never
You
have
have to
those thoughts
always
though
try.
until you do the work to like build yourself up.
Yeah,
And
but it
and
it
and,
all comes with preparation.
and I realize though it's like you really doing yourself a disservice just overall in life without doing that work. Like no matter what area it is, you take it past business because it's like you incomplete. You walking around without your mind. Like if you're walking around with a negative mind or without your mind working at full capacity, it's like you win the game without the instructions because everything is like you're not being able to look at things right. The way I was growing up is like no matter what was going on, the reaction was always from my family that the sky is falling, the apocalypse is coming. You know what I'm saying? It could just be something so small. We get a flat tire and it's like God hates us and everything is going bad and it's like you can't get anywhere like that. You know what I'm saying? And and these are the things that it's like we have to flip the script. It's like, instead of thinking like that, it's like how can you think more positive? How can you be more positive?
But see,
The
people have been taught to believe like that.
right,
That's why, that whole thing, the sky is falling. When people talk about, oh, you born in sin, all of that stuff. I tell you, man, you got to watch what people are planning in your head. That newborn baby. What has that baby done for you to say and believe that the baby is born in sin? Born in sin based upon what? And we look. I was looking at a Bible yesterday, and you know it says the King James Version. You understand? It says Holy Bible, the King James Version. So that means that there's another version. And so when you look at it, you got all these different versions. That's why I tell people you got to be very careful about his story. You understand? Because if you digest what you're being told, his story will become your story.
right, because your history is based on your heritage.
Exactly.
So what you taking in as history, which is crazy because a lot of times people's history isn't coming from like their family tree. It's coming from what somebody tell you. So what you taking as history is what you take like heritage. Like people be like, what does that mean? It's like if you always operating from the mindset of the story of how we've been painted, like we just this like, if you go by what they say, is like we just these slave people who never did nothing, who was living in huts, scratching our ass until somebody came one day and picked us up. And if you go by that story, you operate your mind like that. And people don't realize that. It's like that's why we don't believe in ourselves. That's why we don't take risks. We don't take chances because we don't operate from the mindset of a strong, confident person. Like it's been put in our mind to be less than. It's been put in our mind to be the worst. So it's like a lot of times we just fighting for value. That's where the love of materialism comes from, us trying to regain our value
Right.
that's been taken,
Exactly.
and we don't know how to regain it. And regaining it is just putting it on yourself, by taking care of yourself. That's the real way to regain it, because otherwise you'll just be the miserable person, all the jewelry and stuff. You can look
Yeah.
at the artists and stuff in these interviews and just look in their eyes why they always got to wear sunglasses and see how miserable and stuff they look, because that stuff don't fix it. That stuff is
Yeah.
only cool when you already good. The sunglasses only cool when you can smile without the sunglasses. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
And that's
But
why when you're talking about all those things, everybody's they're trying to regain that which they have lost, because you have to remember they took the God out of man. They took the God out of man and put the God up in the sky. So now you have to die to go and see this God. When the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches that every time you looking in the mirror, you looking at God. And when you looking and see yourself as a God capable of achieving godly things, that's when you start to excel. You know, when I did my first $1 million deal, people was like, man, ain't nobody gonna give you no $1 million. And as soon as they started saying that, the first thing I did, I said, yo, hold up, I'll be right back. And you know what I did? I jumped in my car, I pulled off, and I left that group.
Mm.
And then the dudes hit me, yo, what's up, man? Yo, why you ain't come back? I said, brother, I said the energy was wrong.
Mm.
I said the energy was wrong. I was just trying to tell my boys, listen, I spoke with the people. They looked over my paperwork and they say that I qualify. They just need me to send in some other documents. And when they start talking like that, dude, you got to distance yourself from those who don't believe in themselves. Because when one doesn't believe in themselves, they can't believe in you.
Mm.
And so if you begin to allow them to become a burden and parasitic on you, they'll begin to take the energy that you have that's going to make you successful. And many people are not successful because they surround themselves with people who don't believe. And if you don't believe in yourself or you're unsure, you don't need people around you that's going to be pessimistic, because pessimism destroys everything. Because go ahead.
No, because I was just gonna add on because I'm like, yeah, because when you doing that work and stuff, because unless you like, even when you come from, let's say like you grew up like Carlton and then on Fresh Prince, because of the propaganda that you see, it's like unless you coming from a situation like that, you doing the work and stuff, and it's like you doing the work, you feeling good, and when you get hit with the adversity, you know that's where it really comes in. Like, all right, am I reverting back to this old mindset, or am I gonna keep on doing the work? And then just that one person who's like, you know, this is like hating or whatever, that could be the one thing that tipped the scale back to you going back to the old ways. You know, tip it to having the negative mind, because remember, like for most part, we not getting built up growing up. We're not getting encouraged in our environments growing up. So when you start to do that work and you separate yourself, and then somebody comes back into your bubble and it's like they hit you with negativity, that could throw over the whole ship. You know what I'm saying? Because you going through a process of like relearning, you know, redoing things, you know, relearning how to think, relearning how to like talk to people, like relearn how like just basic communication people don't know how to have. And that's why we have so much shootings and stuff, because it's a bunch of young people younger than me, like not knowing how to have a little conversation, not knowing how to solve their problems any other way, just being angry and not knowing what to do, so they're gonna shoot each other over something small. You know what I'm saying? That's where, so we just kind of have to work on the basics, and having that in your ear, that could just throw over everything. People don't. It really be simple stuff. It's like it don't even be complicated or nothing. Like how what you say, you just drove and you never look back. Like that's amazing. Like a lot of people don't know how to do that. Like
Yeah, but I mean, you have to do that because, you know, as I tell you, I'm going to be producing my own eyewear line, and you know, looking at the different companies. You know, I've actually run into the company that manufactures the glasses for Cartier, for Cazals, and I'm saying to myself, and I'm talking with them, and then you know they sending me paperwork, and I'm looking at the cost. And I'm just thinking how many individuals in our community have died over those glasses. And I'm saying, you know, the real value, if people knew the real value of the glass, because me personally, I already tell them that we're always looking to put somebody's name on our back.
to get that
Because
value.
because we don't know who we are. Because like I tell people all the time, the monetization of self is the only way to wealth. And people hire you because they see value in you that you don't see in yourself. And as long as they can keep you seeing no value in self, you're going to always be consuming. I need this, I need that, I need the other. You know, because my thing is, you don't need no name. You know, when I drop my joints, it's going to be no name, just fly. You understand? And you know, we don't realize that many of us, sometimes I watch the old dude strolling past my barbershop. The other day, the brother, man, he probably had a little too much to drink, and he was just sliding along. But I was just looking at the rhythm, how this brother, he was walking, but he wouldn't fall. He was drunk as a Cooter Brown. And I mean, he was stepping so smooth. And then he got just past the building. And, you know, I stepped out, I'm looking at him. And then a lady comes out from across the street and takes him in the house. She yelling at him. She tapped him on the head a couple times. So he probably was coming from one of the little, because, you know, they got the little rum bar up the street. You know, the brothers be in the back playing dominoes and ludi and all of that. And, you know, so I'm looking at him, just the rhythm and the cadence in his walk. We just naturally got it. What do you naturally have? How can you monetize it? How can you position it and package it and partner with some individuals and promote it and make money for yourself?
It could
Those
be
are
an
the
apple
things that we have
pie.
to start thinking about.
That's the crazy thing. It's like it could be an apple pie. And I think those
Yeah,
are the times we going back into where it's like everybody, and this is just my opinion, you know, don't look at me as some expert or something and place all your bets on this. But I feel like everybody think they're gonna get rich off of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and stuff like that. But it's gonna be the person with like their grandma pie recipe. It's gonna be the person who used to who uncle or something used to make lotion, because that's how people got rich originally. It,
yeah, but they got to realize we're in the roaring 20s.
right,
I was
and that's what was going on 100 years ago. It
exactly.
wasn't no stock. Remember, the stock market is what crashed. It
Yeah,
wasn't no stocks or nothing.
and they're talking about a crash now coming.
It was people making apple pies. It was people making a lotion. It was people one shaving cream, just one thing. It's
Last
like
night.
me and my girls talk about it the other day. It's like, damn, I don't even see people who be selling out food out their house like that no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like people not even doing that type of stuff like that and not realizing like that's really where the money is at.
Yeah,
Your
but let me tell you,
skills.
last night I was watching Shark Tank, and a lady came on Shark Tank. She had her great grandmother's gumbo recipe, and she was working with Costco, but she couldn't meet the need of Costco. She couldn't fill the orders, and you know she didn't really have strong numbers because she was in her kitchen making it. And Mr. Wonderful and the oh man, I can't even think. I watch it all the time. I can't even remember her name. But the lady that does uh what is it? The she sells the home shopping network. Those
Yeah.
two, they gave the lady the 400,000, and they said to her that what we're gonna do is they took 51% of her company. They took 51% of her company, and you know it looked, you know, from a business perspective, you never give up 51% of what you have. But the reality is, I'm glad that she was smart enough to see that all she had was her great grandmother's recipe. You understand? And now she had two gurus who may potentially be billionaires or 100 millionaires, who she has now, you know, when I'm talking about the power of the P's, one of the most important P is partnering. Who have you partnered with? And last night, she was able to partner with people who were going to fund this whole venture to the point that she's getting 49% of it. And basically, all you got is the recipe. Get out of the way, let us do it. You're going to get 49%. So now, and they said, well, we're gonna at least push it to 100 million. So what's 49% of 100 million? That's 490 million. You
Off her
understand?
grandma recipe.
Off her
One
grandmother's
recipe.
recipe.
One.
And one, exactly, one recipe. And she talked about the siblings and all of the relatives as to how no one saw value. The only thing, oh, grandma just made the best gumbo. And they would be out arguing about grandma's gumbo being the best, you know, being the best. And so people have to realize that many times you have what's necessary to get you there, but you haven't positioned yourself, you haven't packaged yourself, you haven't partnered, you haven't promoted. I mean, you just haven't done the necessary things that are going to allow you to be in a position such that you're going to make the money that you need to make. And I tell people all the time, you can't be afraid to define and identify your number, because identifying your number determines what your real true value is. And what you have to do is you have to find individuals who see value in you. Because I have individuals, they'll say to me that, being a barber surgeon, teaching the tonsorial sciences and teaching about, acne colitis noche and, removing the bumps, skin tags, moles, pseudo folliculitis barbae, the decrustation, oxygenation of the scalp. And people tell me, man, how you charging $5,000 for a class? I said, because one, I put in the work. I have what it takes. When a guy takes my class from a booth renter to a salon owner or barbershop owner, these people get salons. They get what it is that they're saying they're going to get. And I told them, I said, when you go to these universities are charging hundreds of thousands of dollars and just giving people a piece of paper and putting them on the street and telling them to go look for a job. If you take a course and when you finish the class, all you have is that I went to Harvard University. You always hear Harvard. What do Harvard and Columbia and all of those people do? They turn their best former students into honorary degree students. Why do they make them honorary degree student? Because the person had the wherewithal to see, son, I know you're probably listening, no disrespect, but there's really no value in education that cannot be monetized. Anytime somebody's teaching you and telling you you need to go work for somebody or you need to represent me after I teach you, you're in the wrong class. If you're studying or you take a discipline that you cannot monetize and guarantee to get your money back, don't put no money into that. Don't put any money into anything that's not going to be of value to you.
That doesn't serve you.
Right, it doesn't serve you.
That's why I said, if I meeting G and stuff and getting into the health business, I said I wanted to do something that was gonna get paid to serve people. Like, you know what I'm saying? No matter what you buying from me, I'm gonna help you in some which way. So it's like my business is always kind of needed. I'm not just selling chips or something. No offense to somebody doing that, they're making their money, but I'm selling you something that's of value that actually serves you, that's actually going to do something for you. A lot of times we spend money, and not just physical money. Your time is the biggest currency that you have. We spend money on things that it just doesn't serve us. It's like, what did that do for you? Ain't nothing wrong with going out to eat to have that experience every once in a while. So people start to look at it, it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But it's really just, how did it serve you, whether it be in a positive or negative way overall? He's talking about his class. Like I've seen it with my own eyes because I've recorded some of them, the information and stuff that people take away from it, like how they come back. He's like, yeah, you remember that dude who drove up here from such and such? Now he's doing this and that. He's like, oh, remember that girl? He's like, now she's doing this and that. It's like, that's something that actually serves you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, the clients that I've had, they were eating, or they might have been one weight, or they might have had one mindset that they had today. It's like they don't have that anymore. Like, their body changed. They went through transformation. It's like that's something that actually, serves you. It's like, that's money well spent. That's money you should feel good about spending. That's all about changing the mindset. It's like, I wouldn't even look at that as expensive. You know what I'm saying? But that's all where your mind is. Because we'll spend that $5,000. You might go to Best Buy and get a new entertainment system with your tax money. But then how does that continually serve you? Especially if you're a business person, you're not even going to be home. It's like, just thinking about it, it's like, we be having the money. It's just, how do we use it? And through our actions, that's what we really show what we about. Because we could talk a good game, but when you do have the money, when you do have the opportunity, if you down to your last $5, what you going to spend it on? You know what I'm saying? You could talk about, let's say, for example, like, oh, I want to eat healthy, I want to get healthy, but I'm down to my last $5. So you know what? It's only $5. I got to buy McDonald's. No, you don't. You could have bought a smoothie. You could have bought the ingredients to go home and make a smoothie. You could buy a small salad. That's just an example, you know what I'm saying? Like, of how you could have used that money to better serve you, but you could be just saying, like, or telling yourself that, or which is basically lying to yourself, which we do a lot of the times. because we don't want to face that, you know, we could be our own problem. You know what I'm saying? We could be the one that's in our own way by the decisions and the actions that we making. You know, and it's not always our fault. It's how we brought up. It's how we conditioned. You know, I'm starting to think with all the propaganda, all the things that we have to go to. If you still in your right mind, it can be damn near like a miracle if you not walking the streets crazy and stuff. So I'll tell people, you know, pat yourself on the back for that, because we go through a lot. You know, people talk about different wars and this like that. That's what's going on in the country. But you know, if you from the hood like me and G's, like he's like, you fighting every day. Just
Yeah,
when you driving home, you fighting.
but see,
Like,
people don't understand that, because we're all fighting.
right, like,
Everybody's fighting. Everybody's fighting some kind of a battle. But what you have to do is you have to learn to identify what battles are you fighting, and get rid of those things that are combative. Just look at, like I tell people, do an interview. Go into the mirror, do an interview of self. What qualities do you have, and what qualities do you need? What are you doing that you should stop doing? I mean, if you know every Friday you get paid, you go out and buy your weed, get your liquor, and spend your whole weekend drunk just to get up on Monday and go to work talking about, man, my head pounding. Man, I almost ain't make it this weekend. To get to Thursday saying, oh my God, I'm so glad tomorrow's Friday. I can't wait to get paid so I can go get my medicine. And so, you find yourself in a cycle that continuously produce the same results.
right, because
And
you
people
haven't
have to
changed anything.
realize that when we look at, people that we see on television, and we may admire them and say, oh my God, you know, a woman may say, oh, I wish I could have been a beauty queen or what have you. You look, oh, she jumps off the ninth, whatever floor it was. When you look at, the Michael Williams guy, I think his name, or the one that, he OD'd, you're like, wow, why would someone in that position be doing drugs? What's going on in their reality that's causing them to behave in that manner? And so we have to ask ourselves, how are we really being influenced? What's really happening with our environment that's causing us to make decisions? Because many times, I don't drink, I don't smoke, any of those things. So when someone just says, I got to get high, when a person says that I got to get high, that means that they're low. So what's causing you to be low? Because I do get high, but I get high on my own. I can make myself high. Sometimes when I left here Saturday night, man, I was high as ever. I was in here, saying my little prayers in Arabic, and I was just loud. I like the way it echoes in my place, and that's how I get high. I'm always meditating to get high. I'm always seeking that inner God, that God within self, that's giving me the power to believe that I can achieve the things that people say are impossible. And you too have that same ability, but you just have to begin to see it in yourself. And that's one thing, my wife hairdresser, she said to me one time, because I had mentioned the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and she said, why do you say his name like that? And I said, the reason why I say his name like that, because when I first got introduced to the teachings at 19, it changed something in me. You understand? It gave me a belief that I could do the impossible. That's the first time I ever heard that the black man was God. And before that, my parents, they church people, they go to church, and everything I had to get, I had to be dead to get it. And if I would have stayed in that same mindset, I would have never achieved anything that I've achieved so far in my life. And he just taught, you can make it happen. You got to do for self. You got to do it yourself. Anybody who may watch this live or who's on this live, is there something that you want or something that you want to achieve or obtain? The only way you're going to achieve it or obtain it is if you get out there, you do it, and you make it happen. If you don't do that, it's not going to happen. And when you're dead, ain't nothing happening for you. So don't let nobody tell you when you die, you're going to get milk and honey, you're going to get gold roads and all of that. No, because no one has come back to tell you anything about that. And you can trace the origin of where that comes from, but I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to offend anybody or anything. But if you're interested, you can go back into the origin of when that was first introduced and who it was introduced to and why it was introduced. And a lot of times, right now, in this present day, you have individuals who are going to come into your life that are going to introduce concepts and theories and thoughts that are going to begin to have you think in a certain way so that either you can find yourself confined and lost where they are, or you can get off the thought of believing, you know what, I'm going to do something.
Right, you
Because
might
some
have to be
mornings,
that crazy
yeah,
person. The crazy
yeah,
person in their family is probably the successful one. We looking at Steve Jobs and whatever person you want to use as a label. When you hear their story, we only seeing the good part. You know what I'm saying? We seeing the nice car, we seeing the success, we seeing them suited up, but we not hearing the part where it was like, man, I'm about to start a computer company. It's like, what is a computer? Get out my face. Whoever he was probably saying that in the 70s or 80s, right? When no one ever heard that before. When his whole family probably lives, acts, talks, and thinks a certain way, and he's just doing something slightly different. It's like you learn you kind of have to do the same thing because it's like as simple as family. Sometimes their mindset and where they going ain't conducive for where you going, and it's not. And when you get to a certain point where you taking care of yourself, it's like how long can you be following along with whatever doesn't serve you or whoever doesn't serve you, and that might be a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even in a disrespectful way, because like how G says, like we've been made, outside of ourselves. So we're not really in our original cultures and ways of doing things. But whatever you might have to give up to just gain something greater. So you're not just throwing it away for no reason. There's a reason why you get rid of that mindset, that belief, that teaching, because it doesn't serve you. And you might be saying, "What you mean it
exactly.
doesn't serve me?" That's your ego talking back, fighting back. Like, what you mean it don't serve me? It's like, well, look at your life. He's like, that's where you guys really start to be honest. How does this thing serve me?
But see,
Really and truly.
that's why, I always talk about the roles because the rose represents, love. People, I mean, if you want to make a woman smile, bring her a dozen of roses. But in order to bring her that rose, you have to cut that rose from its stem of life. And when you bring that rose to the woman's going to see the roses. She's going to smile. She's going to be so happy. But inside of each of those roses are seeds that are envious of the rose. But at that point, the seed doesn't realize the time. He doesn't realize his place. He doesn't realize his position. You understand? He doesn't realize the packaging of the rose. You understand? He doesn't realize the partnership that they have. And he doesn't realize that the promotion of the rose came through a process. So that rose needed to be cut from the vine of life and given to someone. And eventually the beauty wanes and the rose wound up being tossed out until the same sun that gave it life hastens its death. The rain that gave it nourishment causes and accelerated the decomposition. And the same earth that propelled it up towards the sun is now pulling it down into the ground. But in that same process, the seed too is also sucked into the deep abyss of the earth. And then it goes through a process to where the outer crustation is weakened. And then, the sun pulls the water, the earth tighten, and the seed breaks. So now the seed and the dirt is there together, but then it rains again. The universe cries for its inhabitants in the form of rain, and now the nutrients in the soil mix with the nutrients in the seed, and then the sun begins to pull the water again, but now it's pulling until now you see the stem of a rose coming. And so now that rose becomes a beautiful rose bush, but it started as a seed. So you have to look at yourself. Where have you planted your seed, and what nutrients do you have around you, and can you withstand the process that it's going to take to get you to a position where you could be successful? Are you willing to break with that cheap client, that person that doesn't see value in you, that doesn't want to pay you? Can you withstand? Because people, they always say, oh man, you can't charge this, you can't charge that. Like I had one guy, a barber, he said he wanted to see me charge the a client $500. And so I was gonna do it. And then, talking to my wife was like, you don't have anything to prove to them. And she said, how do you think a client would feel if they see you showing somebody, yo, hey, look, I'm charging them $500? What is the client going to think of what it is that you're presenting to them? And when I thought about it, because I said, being new to social media and trying to get a headway and trying to build relationship, I said, you know what? I don't owe anyone any explanation, because, the guy drove all the way from South Jersey. He came up here and he saw my place, because when I told the dudes, yo, I got this $1 million salon, I got 40 chairs, I got a coffee bar, I got a pet. When I'm naming all of the stuff, I'm thinking that people would be like, yeah, yeah, hooray, hooray, hooray. No, they was like, yo, that's bull. Ain't nobody got nothing like that. And I was like, no, for real. And when the guy came up, the only thing I didn't do, I didn't bring him into the lab where I make the products, because the last guy I brought in there, I was, showing him how I make stuff. And, that was before I realized that, you sell that stuff. I just figured, he's a barber, because I learned from the old guys. Like I said, the oldest guy, Bob's dad, Jack, he used to make all of his stuff. He never purchased anything. He would source the herbs. He would make the shaving cream. He would make the pomade. He would make the face wash. He made everything. The only thing he didn't make was the towel. He would take a dull razor and sharpen that thing to the point where it's like, wow, how were you able to hone and slate it like that? But then guess what? Asking the question, he showed me. So now guess what? I have those same skills. And now I have people who are joining classes to learn those things. And the thing is, you have to determine, where is it that you want to be, and who do you think can best get you there? Because I had some people who wanted me to show them certain things, but because I wasn't proficient, because, some of them, they say, oh, I like the way that lady's hair looked. I said, I didn't do her hair. All I did was the fade. The hairdresser couldn't fade the back of the neck. So she came to me with a phenomenal haircut, and I faded the back of the neck, and then that made it look really nice. And, the guy's like, yeah, I want to learn how to use the hot curlers. Yeah, I know how to use them, but not enough to be showing nobody. And, we have to realize the areas where we're weak and say, okay, how do I get myself in a position so that either I can become better in that area, or totally remain neutral from that space, and not be afraid to tell a client, oh, I don't do that. I don't do that. And that's the best thing you can do, is be honest with a client and say, hey, I don't do that. And if you want to do it, go find somebody who can teach you how to do it, so that you're going to be in a position so that you're able to move to another level with another discipline, because everything is possible, but you have to make room for it. And that's why you're going to have to get rid of things that no longer serves you. And so my thing is, I'm in the process, man, I'm getting rid of the people who don't want to pay my price. And since the gas has gone up, I've gotten rid of several of them. And guess what? Here they come. Oh, man, yo, you've been cutting me too long, man. I'm going to just pay the money. And, they're saying it like they're upset. What do you mean you're going to just pay the money? I'm like, dude, I'm bringing you value. And
Right, you're
because
not
I'm
robbing
bringing
them,
you value, yeah.
It's like you're
Because I'm
not stealing
bringing
from
you,
nobody. But
yeah.
I've adopted that same principle. It's like I've looked at what I'm doing, and I started to say, like, I feel like, with your classes and stuff, like how we was talking about, before you can even get to, you gotta raise your value up and stuff. And I'm helping people raise their value up internally. And I started to say, like, I really started to analyze it, doing my own self interview. And I'm like, man, when I
Go
was
ahead.
first
Come up
doing the
and watch
juicing
it.
and stuff, I wasn't even charging people for delivery fees. I wasn't, it's like in my mind, I'm just so happy to have a customer. You know what I'm saying? I don't see the value of myself and what I'm doing yet. In my mind, I'm so happy to have a customer that I'm still not even charging what I'm doing is worth. You know what I'm saying? People pay a lot of money to lose 40, 50 pounds. People pay a lot of money to get a reading or something, and they're actually happier or something afterwards. You know what I'm saying? They give therapists hundreds and thousands of dollars to do that. You know, and I'm
But
charging somebody 50. I'm giving it to them for free. At first, I was just giving it for free, and there's nothing wrong with that while you working your way up. But I started to realize, like, man, you do have to charge your value for this, because after a while, when I was really sitting back and when I started to analyze, you know, let's say the competition, I started to say, like, damn, there's people who charge 2 or 3 times what I charge to do half the work, to give them less juice, to give
but
them, and I'm like, you know, it's not about counting the money or counting the pockets, but it's just kind of getting what you deserve. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and recognizing where your value is at, and recognizing what you deserve, and that's why you gotta build yourself up internally. Because if you feel like if I feel like I'm a $20 holistic person, it's gonna reflect in my business. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like you a $20 haircut barber, you're gonna get $20 haircuts. If you feel like you $100 haircut barber, you'll get $100 haircuts. I'm not a barber, but I see people all the time on the Instagrams and stuff like that, whether they be big or small. And when you go to their page and just checking them out and their prices and stuff, I see some people be like, they start at 120, they start at 150. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about just jacking the price up for the sake of being, but what they might offer, you know, they just might feel like it's worth 150. So they might do only 5 to 10 customers a day and still make what they make when they used to charge $20. You know, and now they just work smarter. And that's kind of what it's about. You know, how can we work smarter and not harder? How can we,
but
yeah.
but see, that's why it's very important to identify your number, because many people aren't identifying their number. They're not defining their value. They're allowing people to tell them what their value is. You have people all the time. You know, they'll always say, "Oh, so and so charges that." I say, "Well, you can go to them." "Oh, so you'd rather sit here and make no money?" I said, "What do you mean sit here and make no money? I'm gonna make money." I said, "I'm always making money." And I said, "What I'm doing is I'm telling you this is what I charge, and that's what you have to pay." When you talk about what you were doing with your prices, you know, when that guy that I was trying to get you the big money client, you know, when he and I had a conversation, you know, he said confidence. You gotta be confident when you tell somebody, "I want $1,500 for that health thing," because the unfortunate thing is that, you know, that this brother, he's dead now. He passed away, and if he would have closed the deal with Malik, that would have turned his life around. It would have turned his health around, and Allah knows that brother would still be here. And you know, it bothered me that, you know, I didn't get more involved and say, "Oh man, I should have," you know, went in and say, "Malik, do it like this." But I mean, the thing was, you got to move in confidence. You have to believe, because a lot of times, you know, when you don't believe in yourself, one thing that made me successful, when I went and asked for that $1 million, all I had was a clipper, a outliner, a straight razor, a comb, and my faith. That's all that I had. And I went, and people said that I was crazy. You're not getting nothing. Them people ain't giving you no money. They said they're gonna laugh at you. And I went in there, man. I had on my sharp suit, man. Listen, I had my FOI gear on. I went right, sat, talked with them, and you know, they looked at me, and I knew they were trying to get out of it. You know, when we went to the closing, because they were like, "Hey, they delayed it," and I'm like, "Oh shoot!" And so they went, and all they did was they took a couple hours. They started asking me questions, and they said, "Well, why didn't you do more than 30 pages?" I said, "You guys said no more than 30 pages." And it was like, "Oh, you want to do all of that stuff? Oh, you're making products. You know, you should have asked for more money." And my thing was, you know, at the time, you know, I was like, yeah, that, you know, I'm patting myself on the back, because sometimes I have to be my own cheerleader,
Mm,
because you'll have people right around you, they won't even believe in you.
not at
And
all.
if you allow them to pull you down, you'll never achieve the great things that you're trying to accomplish, because they don't have confidence in you. And you know, like I got people now, who are just stumbling onto my products. They got into a situation and they said, "Oh man, you know what? I ain't have nothing to do, so I just got his products." And I'm saying to myself, "What you mean? So you had nothing else, so you just decided you're gonna take my products now?" But you know what? They're buying from me, and now I see guys ordering, you know, give me 12 pieces of this, 12 pieces of that. And I'm looking, I say, yeah, it's starting to come. It's starting to come. And then I see people who go to the barbershops where they're using my products. You know, my man out of Detroit, you know, he got me more customers. And I said to him, I said, you should be retailing the items. You shouldn't be sending them to me. If he wants it, make some money off of him. You know, have confidence in yourself. That money that you got tucked under that mattress, every time you look under there, that same $500 will be under there. But if you took that $500, invested it in a class, invested it in a product, invested in something that would allow you to monetize oneself, then you'll find yourself in a position where you could really start to grow, and you'll start to realize that you can achieve the success that you're looking for, but you have to be willing to sometime get rid of the things that's no longer serving you. Because if it's bringing no value, why do you need it?
Right.
You know, you riding around um, with a case of oil in your car, but your car is leaking transmission fluid. Why did you get the case of oil? Because the case of oil was on sale, but your car leaks transmission fluid. You should have gotten the transmission fluid. And oh, I
Right.
ain't want to pass that deal up. That deal was better. But there's no use. Your car leaks transmission, not oil. So the oil doesn't serve you because your car contains the oil to keep going. And you have to ask yourself, what do you need to get rid of? What do you need to bring in that's going to position you where you want to be positioned?
I think the biggest thing is that mindset thing. Because going back to that guy, it's like I never even had the idea in my mind of charging that much, but that's what I should be charging based on what I do, based on what I offer. You know, I was talking about driving and making meals, custom juice plan. You know, I'm not just making juices that you buy. It's like everything is customized based on what you tell me. You know, and I'm and driving to him and delivering it and all of that, and having him on his health goals. Like, how can I not charge him that? Like, even thinking about it, it's like maybe I should even be charging him more. But I
I
never had
told you
that.
to charge them more.
And I
I
never
said,
had that in my mindset, you know. And you gotta be honest with yourself. And I start to, when I say be honest, I know where it stems from. You know what I'm saying? Because on the path is like you don't have a lot of encouragement. Like since I've been doing the business thing, aside from G, I haven't really got like, you know, much what I would really say like outside encouragement. If anything, it's always the opposite. It's always someone trying to put you down. It's always someone trying to, and then what I do is not popular. You know, it's not popular to be healthy in the mind, body, or shape or whatever. You know, people could. It's more popular for me to say something disrespectful and get attention than for me to uplift and you know, so I'm already fighting against that. And then you gotta fight against negativity and all of that. So in my mind, I was always trying to, you know, nickel and dime, like I just be so happy to get somebody because I just thought it was so hard. I'm thinking that it's like I just don't know any other way to do it. And I'm just like, all right, somebody actually take an interest in it because I'm getting all the negativity. It's like I need to give them a discount to make sure that they're gonna actually buy it instead of operating from the mindset that like I need to set my price. I need to have this value. I need to understand. I need to, you know, come up with whatever I'm doing, having my own package, you know, and have and set my price and know that it's worth this because I'm guaranteeing that or whatever it may be, and then understand that if this person might think that it's too expensive, that it just may not be for them. If that person might, that's the mindset that I'm operating from now. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean I want to charge outrageous prices. Because at the end of the day, I got into this to help people, but it's like I couldn't get anywhere with that mindset before. You know, every second I'm trying to give somebody a discount, because really and truly, it's like I didn't really see the value in it. You know, and
but
now I see the value in it for myself. I don't even need that outside person. You know, and times you know, I'm not gonna lie and say that it doesn't get hard and stuff because you know I'm still working out, I'm still making my videos, I'm still doing stuff, I'm still in the I don't like to call it the grind because gears grind, and if the gears were grinding in your car, that wouldn't be a good thing. So I don't like to call it the grind. I'm still on my journey, So it hasn't fully happened yet. I haven't got to the point where let's say that G is, but I'm still young. But my mindset has already changed to better serve me. I will never even get into them type of discussions with someone anymore about I got a nickel and dime or I gotta give big discounts. I gotta do. It's one thing if it's somebody who's in that type of situation. But I was doing that with people, and right after they did that, they were driving off in like a Maserati or something. I was doing that in situations where it's like I
Exactly.
was doing that with somebody, and then I know for a fact that they was gonna spend like $200-300 on weed. They was about to go to the club. They was about to live it up. So they had the money. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't seeing that value in myself, so I'm allowing them to spend that money on the things that they see more value in. Just because I don't really see that in myself. So instead of me getting that $200 money they was gonna spend on weed, now I'm saying just give me $50. So now they got that. So now they have more money to spend other places. Part of my self interview, I really had to be honest about that. It's like I'm the reason why this isn't happening. I'm the reason why I'm not making the money that I want to make. It's not some outside source. I could blame all these people, but my mindset isn't conducive to being like a millionaire. Because you got to have a millionaire mindset. It's like, what does that mean? It sounds good, but it's the truth. The millionaires don't nickel and dime. Yeah, it may be in business situations where they're trying to cut a deal, but it's always to benefit them. They nickel and dime it so they could get the nickels and dimes, not to give it back to the other
Exactly.
person.
Exactly.
you
And
know,
that's why my man Donald Trump, I don't like Donald Trump, but I like Donald Trump because Donald Trump, when you look at his book, The Art of a Deal, and everything in that book, you heard them when he was running for president. They were saying all of those negative things that were in the book, and about like he was always trying to get over on somebody. But I was like, he was always positioning himself to have the edge, and he put himself in a position where you build a building, he put his name on there, and he getting paid. I'm like, man, now you can't get better than that. So you going all over in Dubai, Trump Towers and all of these things. This man don't own it. I mean, I'm thinking he owns all of these things. When he sold the Taj Mahal uh, to the Japanese and then charged them a fee to be able to move Taj Mahal to Japan. Now you can't move no building, but and they say, oh, that was dirty. No, they asked for that, and he gave it to them. You understand? So what are you giving that people aren't asking for? If they're not asking you for a discount, why are you giving a discount? If
right.
they're not asking you for a break, why are you giving a break? And when you look at things like, just take like how people are paying so much for Nikes. A Nike can drop, they only have so many pairs. And someone say, I don't know what Nikes cost because I don't wear Nikes, but say it costs $200. And then someone goes and say, okay, I'm going to sell it for $800, and someone pays for the shoe. And people talking about, man, that shoe ain't worth $800. But how can you say that?
When
Once
someone
someone is
just paid
willing to
for it.
pay it,
Yeah,
once
exactly.
someone is willing to pay for it, it has that value. So you have to ask yourself, what are you worth? What is your real value? How do you define your value? That's why you hear me telling my students all the time, you have to identify your number. Do you know how to identify your number? Do you understand QVAC? Do you understand quantifying the value of the acquisition of a client? And people don't understand these things, and then they find themselves constantly struggling. How am I going to get there? How do I do this? How do I do that? And the reason they're struggling is because they themselves don't believe.
Mm.
You have to believe. You have to believe you can do it. R. Kelly made that song, I Believe I Can Fly. You understand? And look how many people use that song as inspiration, because a man said to himself and put it in words, I believe that I can fly. And when others just hear that song, you could hear that song right now. You could be in a rut. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad speaks about the donkey that fell into the ditch. and the donkey was in the ditch, and everybody went past the donkey. They was laughing at the
Hold on, I'll
donkey.
be right back.
They was
Keep talking.
throwing rocks. They were kicking stones on the donkey. They kicked so many rocks and threw so many stones, kicked so much dirt, threw so much trash on the donkey, to the point that everything that they had done and given to the donkey was what the donkey needed to walk up out of the ditch. So when people are hating on you, people are saying what they say, they throwing salt on you. Remember, salt is seasoning. Many people, they can't eat their food without salt because they need some seasoning salt. So it's going to take the salt to bring the greatness out of you. So don't see it that way as, you know, they putting salt on me. Because I mean, look, last night, you know, a friend of mine sent me a video. You know, I didn't see it, but Will Smith slapped the out of Chris Rock. And Will brought something out of Chris that people didn't know was in Chris. You know, I don't think that he should have slapped him, but Chris was a better man than me, because had he slapped me like that, they would have been talking about how to, whatever it was, the Academy or whatever it was, the Grammys, it got turned out, because I would have laid hands on him. And I wouldn't have laid hands on him like they do on Sunday morning, where they shaking their head and doing all these things. I would have laid hands on him to where, you know, he would have never slapped anybody else. And so we have to start thinking, how do we get ourselves in a position? How do we rise to be our greatest self? How do we position ourselves to be the best that we can possibly be? And it's through understanding the journey, understanding what it's going to take for you to get there. Watching that Dora the Explorer kids television show, and listening when Dora's talking about your boots, the raincoat, the umbrella, the backpack, you know, the hat, the map. Look at all of those things and how they're necessary for Dora to have before Dora starts her journey. Dora knows that she's embarking on a journey, and Dora has sourced out everything necessary to successfully reach her goal. And you have to ask yourself, what is it that you need to be doing that's going to put you there? And if you're not doing those things, you got to start making some changes and say, hey, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do that, because that's the only way you're going to get there.
That's where I come in. You hit me up for a lifestyle change, and I can help you get right started on your journey. Because a lot of times we don't even know where to start, and we really don't know how to get to the root of our problems, but we don't see them as problems because we come from toxic environments that we normalized. So we living in chaos and craziness, and we just think it's normal. What I try to tell people is, like, you know, somebody go to the army, and they might not even really get to the battlefield or nothing. They might just be somewhere and hear a gunshot, and they overhear, and their whole life is ruined now because of their PTSD and stuff. And we growing up and living in that environment all the time. You might just go to your grandma's house one time and she live in a bad neighborhood one time, and you see something crazy that scarred you for life, and you don't realize that that could be the thing that's getting in your way. And we don't really know where to start sometimes, for real, because, you know, we might know the major things, like, you know, domestic situations and abuse and stuff like that. We know those major things, but we don't know sometimes the little things because we never viewed it as a problem. Just sometimes the way that we talk to people as a Jamaican, it's like, you know, they don't even have a sense of filter. They don't have, my mom and them don't know, like, you know, they'll see a lady and be like, you see that big fat ass lady? Not even understanding that how damaging those words could be to that lady or something. That could be the thing that send her over the edge. But, and not even saying they do it with malice and malicious, it's just how they talk. But it's not really normal. You know what I'm saying? We made it normal. We made talking to each other in non loving ways and non just like normal. That's why we have so much like chaos and stuff, and we trying to normalize chaos.
And see,
And
that's what happened last night, because Will Smith has been under so much turmoil. He has been under so much stress with his personal life, with what's going on with his wife and all of those things. And last night just happened to be that breaking point.
right,
It
it's like you
happened to
get
be that
tired of
breaking
it.
point. And, you know, he just went up there and he just slapped him. And when he came back and sat down, what did he tell him? Keep my effing wife's name out your mouth.
Right.
Keep my effing wife's name out of your mouth. And you have to understand that the fact that he did it on that platform and he did it before the whole world, he was talking to all of us, not just Chris Rock. Chris Rock just happened to be the catalyst that pushed him over the edge, and he received the slap. But he was told he was telling everyone, I'm tired. I don't want to hear anymore about what's going on with my wife. I don't want to hear about the red table talks. I don't want you talking about her alopecia. I don't want you saying, keep my wife's name out your mouth. And that's the way that happened. And again, kudos to Chris Rock for handling it in the manner in which he handled it. Because, and he did say, man, Will Smith just smacked the out of me. And I mean, people say, oh man, that was staged. But when Will went and sat down, that wasn't staged.
Now, and when I saw that, I'm almost like, I'm surprised I don't see more stuff like this. And this is what I'll be like normalized. It's like, how could you as a man sit and watch someone disrespect your wife? Like, that's abnormal.
Yeah,
It don't
but
matter what kind of relationship y'all have.
But see, we live in a society now where they're pushing things that's unnormal.
Exactly.
Unnatural. And so people are beginning to say, okay, I'm going to accept this as being normal because I'm being fed this through the media. You know that it's not normal, but because they're telling you it's normal, you begin to accept that as being normal.
Right, and we doing that with so many different things. When I'm just looking at the reactions, because when that type of stuff happens, I look at it as a good way to see, as a way into people's mind based on like just reacting to it. And I'm seeing so many men saying that, that they was upset with what he did. Like black men, I'm looking at it, I'm like, you could just let somebody talk about your wife or something. But that's just a minute example of like how things is just different. When I don't know, just growing up and stuff, you couldn't do nothing like that. You could.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't talk about a man's wife and you can't talk about a boy mother. Those things right there will always fight in words. You could talk about the daddy. Nobody care about daddy. You say whatever, but when you say your mother, people they're not going for that. They're not going for that, and they're gonna be in a situation to where, like last night, I mean, he put pause on Chris Rock. It was unfortunate that it had to happen like that, but I hope that people are going to see that sometimes you say things that are going to hurt people.
Right, because we live in an era of you can just kind of say anything.
Yeah, well, you can't really say anything, but they've conditioned people to believe that it's okay to just say anything, that you don't need a filter. You could say whatever you want about people. Who cares if your feelings get hurt? But you can't say those things. You can't do those things. And we have to be conscious of the words that we use, what's coming out of our mouths. Because when we're not, that's when you find a man like Will Smith. Again, the man has everything. What is it that the man cannot obtain if he wants? But yet, people's words have gotten to him to the point to where he actually, physically went and put his hands on someone because he was saying enough is enough. I don't like the fact that, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. Just that simple. Just that simple. And so we have to look at it for what it is. And so we too have to watch ourselves and say, what is it that I may say that may be very intrusive and painful for another individual? Because right now there are real fine lines. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of unnatural things that they're trying to force us to accept. And me, like certain things, I'll still be like, oh hell no, I don't agree with that. And people will say, oh no, you're wrong, you can't do that. But the thing is, we know we must use nature. We must use nature as the barometer by which we judge things. What's happening in nature? Because if we study nature, I've always been an animal kingdom enthusiast. You'll always find me watching Animal Kingdom, National Geographics, things of that nature. I was talking with a guy earlier about Ken Burns and just the jazz documentary that he had done, and then he did one on World War II. I like educational things, but some things are just not natural. They're just wrong. You're going to just take a people, kidnap them, and make them slaves. You're going to invade somebody's country and, you know, just say, oh, I want this country. Or you're going to, I mean, it's just so many things that are happening that we know aren't natural, but we just go along with it because people say, okay, yeah, that's how it's going to be now. That's how it's going to be. You see, like the guy who won the swimming thing. That's a man. So you deprive those women who have trained all their lives from achieving the goal that they wanted so much because some man is mixed up in his head. All that stuff is craziness. And we probably gonna get some bad burn because I said that. But the reality is we have to take control of ourselves, of our thoughts. We cannot allow people to get us to do things that we know is not natural. For you to be poor, hungry, starving, and out of door is not natural.
Right.
You
To even
you have
have
a
that
mind,
mentality, the
yeah.
poor
You
people
have a
mentality is
mindset,
unnatural.
yeah. When you ask, why is it one person wealthy and the other one poor? I mean, when you go back, like I was telling people, I remember in college when Puff Daddy came from Howard University, he had Mary J. Blige, Craig Mack, all of them. He was an intern at Uptown, and Morehouse getting beat up by Howard University in football, and just the energy that that guy had. He was just a regular student, but then when you look at where he is today, he had the same opportunities that we all have, but he made different decisions. What decisions are you making that's not allowing you to reach the level of success that you're trying to make? What is it that you need to get rid of that's no longer serving you? You understand? If you're going scuba diving, once you get out of the ocean, should you still have the oxygen tank on your back?
Right.
You understand? Should you be walking around with the oxygen tank and the scuba gear out of the water? No, you
And
shouldn't be doing that. But
biggest thing is,
you find a lot of people, they're walking around with things that once served them that no longer serves them.
yeah, it
And
served you
you have,
5 years ago, 7 years ago. Like how you talk about them clothes. When you was a 38 waist and you probably bought them pants at what, like 2015, 2014, those pants was
yeah,
probably hitting nice. But then this is 2022. Them pants don't do
yeah.
nothing for you right now.
Nah, and then when you lose the weight, dude, I didn't even realize how big I was.
And,
I
and,
didn't
and
even
but
realize
see,
how big.
it's like that weight thing. It's like just the same way going back to the guy with the package and $1,500. It's like you don't even realize how silly my mindset is. Like I don't even like you really don't realize until afterwards, and you can look back and you be like, damn, like I was really doing that when I was that big and I was losing weight. I really had to look at how big the clothes was and stuff, and I was like, damn, like you know what I'm saying? It's like, how do I even get to that point? How do you let yourself get to that point? But you be like asleep at the wheel, you know what I'm saying? And it's really our thoughts because the thoughts is what you have to analyze the most because that's what's going to direct what you eat. That's what's going to direct who you go around, all of that. So if your thoughts ain't right and your thoughts ain't serving you, your life really ain't going to serve you. It really just comes down to that. Because what you choose, like the bad foods and stuff, that usually stems from some sort of stress or some sort of mental issue. So everything really starts in the mind. It's like the focus should just be getting your mind right. Once your mind is right, or and it's not an overnight thing, but once your thoughts serve you, it's like that's when your life gonna start serving you. Because then your thoughts gonna be followed by your actions. They already are. So if you already having bad thoughts, you already having bad actions. My bad thoughts, that's what's making me give everybody a discount before. Because I'm having bad thoughts that don't serve me. So I gotta get rid of them. So now I have the thoughts of, oh, I'm valuable. Oh, my value is this. So now these thoughts serve me. So I hold on to them. I had to give up them thoughts that wasn't serving me before to now have the ones that serve me now.
And see, those things are so important because, as I hear my man TD Jakes always saying, The blessing is always in the breaking. Something has to break in order for a blessing to come. You know, the person who's going in the gym, working out, getting fit, do you know the pain that they have to go through with their body? They doing push-ups, they lifting weights, you know, and the body goes through a process to where they're in pain. But then once they get beyond that, they start to look good, and then it becomes second nature. You got muscle memory. You know, the other day, my wife looked at me. She's like, "You see how much weight you losing?" I said, "Yeah." She's talking about, "You gotta eat," and I'm like, "Nah." I said, I still got more weight to take off. I still got more weight to take off. Like right now, we're about to go into Ramadans, and the minister's talking about just what we're gonna do, and I gotta make sure, like, since I've been already fasting strong and all of that, I'm going to totally cleanse my body in the next month. I'm going to come out 30 days on the other side with total health. You understand? There's going to be nothing wrong with my body because I'm going to remove all of the toxins that are inside of me. But in the process of the fast, I'm going to get all of the toxins out of my life. Everything that's toxic in my environment will be gone.
Mm.
And that's what we have to do, is we have to make sure that we're getting rid of all of those toxic things that are happening, because it's the toxicity that really hurts us.
And,
So
and to wrap up, I would just say, and that's really why, we talk about like transformation and stuff. Like that's why I don't really deal with diets. I don't really deal with just like, give me $50 and I sell you like some sort of cleanse or something. It's like you got to get on a program that's gonna change. Like we running off of muscle memory, like he said, and muscle memory. Just look at it like the programming that runs your computer, because your body is that computer. It's that like machine. You know what I'm saying? And whatever programming is gonna be based on how the machine is working. Whatever you're feeding it, whatever you're giving it, whether it be mentally, physically, or spiritually, and you got to really sit and analyze and kind of, you want to almost develop new programming. You want to transform your machine. You want to become just damn near a whole new person, really and truly, because a part of, like, we focus so much on the image of losing weight. But when he's talking about losing weight and cleansing, his body is just a reflection of how many toxic things he cleansed from his life, period. You know what I'm saying? When your face starts to get clearer and stuff like that, that's just a reflection of how clear your thoughts are, how clear, yeah, and when you have clear thoughts and stuff, that's just a reflection of how clear your mindset is and how clear you are overall in life. That's just the reflection of it. It shouldn't be the focus. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not the end all be all. Just being physically healthy and end all be all. You want to also do something with that, but it's just a good way to get the start. And you just want to get rid of all the things that no longer serve you. Write a list. Write a list about yourself, and just write a list about the things around you. And this is where journaling comes in handy, man. You really got to keep account of everything going on. Well, is this positive? Is this negative? Is this positive? Is this negative? And you got to start getting into fine tuning and fine details, and that's what's going to change your life. I'm telling you, talking to somebody and being pissed off right after could ruin your whole day, and that could just be a day wasted just from one little small conversation that you didn't even have to talk to that person, and you be talking to that person probably consistently. That one little meal that you decided to have for lunch could be the thing that's slowing you down. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't serve you well. You got to be honest, and you got to be honest with what makes you want that, or what makes you want to be around those people, or what makes you constantly go to that thing. And if you need help with that, that's when you could hit up somebody like me. But it starts with your honesty. But for real, just spring cleaning, as the earth is waking up, as the trees and the stuff is coming to bloom, it's like you should be looking to do the same thing. This could be, a good time to reap all the hard work and stuff that you put in. And if you haven't even got started yet, now there ain't no time like now to get started, because now we're going into a time of like things is happening. You're starting to hear the birds and stuff in the morning. The animals are coming back. That's a reflection of nature that things is moving. We spiritually, a lot of people don't even look at New Year's until spring happens, because that's really when the earth comes alive. And that's when, and really and truly, if we were still how we're supposed to read the stars and not really make moves until we're in certain cycles, now is the best time to make cycles. Now is the best time to do cleanses. Now is the best time to get right, to put a plan in motion. You know what I'm saying? So,
But see, the thing is, when it's very important that you understand the earth cycles, and it's very important that you understand the circle of life. Like when you watch, everybody know about the Lion King, and you know when you see something like the Lion King becoming so popular because the circle of life. Because when you look at fruit, like if you want to get healthy, you have to look at the season. What season are we in? I was listening to a doctor. He was talking about he didn't learn about seasons of fruit until he left America, because you know right now in Jamaica certain fruits you can't get at certain times of the year
right.
because it grows naturally and it grows on its cycle. So he was saying that he was looking wherever he was, part of the world he was in. He was looking for a pear that they call avocado, and he said he couldn't get it. And he said he went all over trying to get it. And the guy said to him, he said, "What do you?" He said, "Why are you asking for that?" He said, "It's out of season. You cannot get it." And he said, "What do you mean it's out of season?" And he said, "It only grows a certain time of the year." And he said he began to sit and talk with the man. Now here he is, a medical doctor, but this guy, just a layman, teaching him about nature, teaching him about food, teaching him about, you know, the chickens and how long it takes. And you know, and the guy said when he left and when he came back to America, he said that guy transformed his life greater than any of his professors had done in medical school. He said the guy taught him so much because the guy began to explain to him, as we were talking about earlier, like during the fall, you got certain foods, like like now the fall season is when you got all of the berries, the raspberries, the grapes, and all of these things because they're antioxidants, you know, they're antiviral, and all of these things work with the detoxification of the body and helping to cleanse the body of the mucus. So everything has a season. So if you eat within the seasons, when you eat a food within their time, that way the body becomes healthy. That's the way you rid the body of disease. The reason the body is sick, because the body, like if your car, your engine, they say you got to do the timing belt. You got to do the timing chain. Because if the timing chain is off, the engine runs rough. The car begins to have problems because it's out of timing and it needs to be tuned up. So when you find that your body is sick and your body is out of timing, the body needs to be tuned up and it needs to be brought back in alignment with nature, with its natural self, because the body's not designed to be sick. We feed the body things that makes it sick. And every time something happens with the body, I did a biological terrain assessment. And what that did was it told me all of the nutrients I was missing, all of the vitamins I was missing. I had too much of this, too little of that. It was basically telling me, hey, if you want this engine to run at its best, you need to take this, this, and this. And don't forget that. And so when I looked at that, I was like, wow, this is great. And you know, I had heard so much about it, but the medical doctors, they were saying, oh, don't pay any attention to that. You know, get this scan, get that scan, putting you in machines that are going to make you sick. That, you know, and then you're signing everything that they give you is saying, okay, you could potentially die. So we're disclosing that, and we want you to sign this so that if you do catch something from what we're doing, you know, you're out of there and you agree not to hold us accountable because we're telling you that. But yet they're trying to help you. So you have to ask yourself, who do you have in your environment that you need to get rid of that's not really helping you, that's not really pushing you in a direction that you really want to go? Who do you have that's hindering you from being able to charge the price that you want to charge for your hairstyle? Charge the price that you want to charge for whatever it is that you're offering. And so you got to seriously, as right now, although we're in the new year, the new year is just about to start next month in April, because the earth is about to come alive. The air, electricity is going to be in the air. So you're going to be inhaling electric air that's going to cause your body to begin to detoxify. So your nose is going to run with mucus. Your eyes is going to run with water. Your skin is going to be itchy. All these things are going to be happening because the air is designed, is in a renewal phase. So, the pollination, life is just in the air. So what are you doing to take advantage of that electricity that's in the environment, that's ready to propel you into the next phase of your greatness? And are you willing to make the necessary changes to get rid of those things that are no longer serving you, such that you can make space for that which is going to give you what you need to get where it is that you say you want to go?
Yeah, I said we could just wrap it up there. You can follow
Yeah.
me, Keto Organic Life. I got plenty of videos. If you're interested in a lifestyle change, or you're interested in like a mental health workshop, you could go to my website. You could go to the website in the bio. That's basically it. Get rid of things that no longer serve you. Get rid of this lesser reality to accept a greater one. That's basically the theme. You know what I'm saying? Give up with the expectation that you're gonna get something greater in return. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you let go of $1, potentially you might get $100, and that's the whole mindset of it. And it really is a raise your value type of thing, because we don't even understand that we could be getting better. We got to really move past the bare minimum. We got to stop operating from this slave mind and, just so happy for the crumbs and stuff like that. It's a shame that we don't understand who we are, because we are really unnatural and unlike ourselves when we behave in that manner. When he talked about the body is not even meant to get sick, we really not even meant to have destructive and bad thoughts and stuff. That's why they have to feed us so much programming to get us to think this way. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, all it takes is like a little song or a little something to get us back dancing and happy again, because it's unnatural for us not to be like that. It's unnatural for us not to be just happy and dancing and stuff. That's who we are, in our natural nature. So if you need help making a lifestyle change and stuff, you can hit me up. I hope you enjoyed this live. I hope it was able to help you. I hope it got you thinking, because that's the main part of it. And, that's the biggest thing. We just need to change our thinking, because your whole life is based on your thoughts, externally and internally. So, get the theme should be to get your mind right.
All right. We want to thank you all for listening. I'm the Real Barber Surgeon. If you're not following me, follow me. Um, I teach the monetization of self. I teach individuals how to go from a booth renter to salon owners. I teach business. I teach you how to believe in you. Again, the monetization of self is the only way to wealth. And people hire you because they see the value in you that you don't see in yourself. And I want to thank you all for listening. And may Allah bless you all as I greet you all in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace.